So Rory had zero response to that body shot, and the reason why is because he set his feet from the first bell. You have to let yourself mature into a fight. So you can see Zayn here trying to be elusive. He's moving because he wants the styles. He wants to get Rory's timing. He wants to let his style mature. Look again there, we can see Zayn is really sharp. Rory threw out a lazy left hook, bam, met with a counter. But fortunately, he had defense after his offense. So when you're boxing fighters, like Zayn is here, it's really bouncy, very fluid, very sharp. You need to make sure you have a tight defense. Because if they can see the opening, by chance, they'll be able to land. This is a good use of body feints here by Zayn. As you can see him stepping in, stepping back, changing level. These are feints trying to keep his opponent unsure. He wants his opponent to be uncertain, always calculating, always thinking. But Rory stays in the tight guard, which is good. If your guard is tight, your opponent has to create an opening. So the purpose of feints is to make your opponent make a mistake, open up, and bam, you catch them. So Rory's doing a very good job here, staying tight, as his opponent trying to be elusive. See, even though Zayn's doing a really good job of being elusive, his stance is wide open, and you saw that Rory nearly landed a counter. If you're open, potentially all your opponent has to do is time the shot correctly, and you'll be hit. Which is exactly what Rory attempted to do. Look, you see these little feints here? He's feinting, waiting for Zayn to jump in, and he threw his left hook, although Zayn smothered the punch. In boxing, at the end of any sequence or any attack, that's when you're most vulnerable. So I didn't like the way Rory stepped back here with his guard down, because he could easily have been countered. Instead, whether you choose to stay close or step away, your guard should be up. Although Zayn's been really good at changing the range, I don't like the fact that his guard is open how it is. Rory's nice and tight, so it's easy for him to defend punches. Look at that. Did you just see that? Zayn's open and Rory's nice and tight. Now being tight, this is what it does. It means you're going to be harder to hit. That was a really well-timed counter by Zayn, but the fact that Rory had the tight guard is what led him to defend the shot. Good work here by Zayn, looking for the gaps. Now when your opponent stands close to you in the high guard, you have to take the opportunity to hit the gaps. Don't just allow them to apply pressure to you, break them down. I really like Rory's composure here. Look, he's staying in the tight guard, just slowly trying to walk Zayn down, slowly trying to bring his pace down, which is the correct thing to do against someone who's moving around and erratic like Zayn is. You stay in the high guard and you slowly try to break them down, which is good work here, good work. What you just saw, that's as simple as it is. If your guard is up, your opponent has to find a way to get around the guard. Zayn's on a roll here. He just demonstrated the second way to defend. Look, he's taking his head on and off the line, on and off the line. When Rory attacks, it's easy for him to defend it because it's off the vertical line. Although it's not fully executed here, watch, you see Zayn does a side slip as he jabs towards the body, and that's what stopped him being hit by the left hook, even though he was open. Look, Rory done good, smothering Zayn and hold him against the ropes. He pinned him against the ropes, but then he let him free. Now when you're boxing, you always want that. This is ring generalship. You always want to hold the dominant position, which is the center of the ring. So Rory managed to back Zayn up again against the ropes, and now he's in the center of the ring. But Rory's mistake is that he's following Zayn around the ring rather than cutting the ring off, which allows Zayn to circle back to the center. Rory has a nice tight guard and he's well aware that he's a stronger man, but I'd love to see him cutting off the ring. Look here, he just landed a nice left hook. But if he stepped with Zayn, he'll be able to follow up the attack much more easier, rather than relying on Zayn standing still. Now at times, moving in a circular motion can benefit you, but there's a time when you need to cut the ring off and move in straight lines. Like right now, we're seeing Zayn box around Rory. He's boxing around him in a circle, drifting around the ring. Rory can cut him off. I'm not sure what Zayn's doing here right now. Look, he had space to move around in a circular motion, but he went backwards in a straight line and ended up being cornered. Look, now he's back to moving in circles, which is what he should have always done. I love it when I see it. Rory had a tight high guard, and because his guard was tight, nothing could get through. There's a good variation of attacks here by Rory. He uses the left hook as bait so the right will land, and then uses the right uppercut as bait so the left hook will land. Round 2 starts, and again look, Zayn starts sharp again, Rory's flat-footed in the tight guard, but look what's happening here. Zayn just moved in a circular motion and pushed Rory backwards. Pay attention to Zayn's open and low guards. Rory used Zayn's confidence and open guard against him. He knew that if he backed up, Zayn would come forward and commit, but his guard's open, which means he's always going to be open for a counter, and Rory just proved it. Look at that low guard, look at that low guard. He's going to get hit with a counter every single time. So now, Rory's shown to have success by backing up and countering. When he pushes forward, he tends to get countered back himself. Look, this is because Rory has no game plan. He just has tactics he's implementing to try to score points. Now when you're boxing, you have to have a game plan. You have to have an overarching aim of what you're trying to do in that round. Now Zayn done well to guard up from those hooks, but look at Zayn, he's standing square. And if you're open and your opponent can see where to land, most likely they will land if they just throw the punch. If right now Rory threw a cross to the body, he would most certainly land. And that was an example of the exact opposite. If you can't see the target, you won't land. It looks like Zayn's trying to move forward. This is a really good display of offense and defense together. I'm surprised that Zayn is doing this. Zayn is smothering Rory. So usually people believe that when you're further from your opponent, you're safer. But if you smother them and you sit on your opponent's chest, you're going to be in a lot safer position where they won't be able to counter you, but you could find gaps. Now Rory's doing a good job of attacking Zayn and walking him down. But look, this is ring generalship. He's following him around the ring. If he were to cut the ring off, he would do such a more effective job. Zayn is really trying to show Rory that he's not the boss in there. I'm physical too. Look, he put the double guard in there, he smothers Rory and pushes him back. He could have thrown a punch there because taking advantage of the fact that he's closed the gap. Look, that's me there. I'm telling Rory, cut the ring off. Look, Rory needs to step across and cut the ring off. Instead, he's just pivoting and allowing Zayn to box circles around him. Although pivoting and holding the center of the ring is a great tool, it's not allowing him to have success against Zayn. And now look, Zayn's taking the center. He needs to, because he's the bigger, stronger man, he needs to cut him off and then let his shots go. He's in there with an elusive boxer, but that's a good counter there. There seems to be a bit of fatigue wearing in. Well, when the box is tired, one place you need to be is close to your opponent, leaning on the chest. See, Rory looks a bit tired, but what he's doing is that he's leaning to the side when he is leaning on Zayn, and that is not going to be good because your lungs are going to be compressed. So you want to more smother your opponent, you want to stay close to them, smother them, don't drop your hands. Look, you can see here it's getting a bit tired, it's getting a bit clumsy with his offense, but there's some good shots there. Hands are down, so I'll keep his hands up. You need to slow the pace down. Slow the pace down, that's a good round. I really like the mannerisms that Zayn uses at the beginning of every single round. This constant movement is giving constant fake feints, constant signals that he can use to open up Rory. Zayn just used feints to put Rory on the ropes. Look, Rory was in the middle of the ring. He didn't land a single shot just through feints, and he managed to get him onto the ropes. So this is about ring generalship. You have to be really aware. I don't think that Zayn was aware of what he done, but you need to be aware of what you're doing so you can take advantage of it. These small dips, these small twitches, these are feints. You're sending your opponent false signals, so they have to think. They're keeping your mind busy. So even right now, it looks like not much is happening. A lot is happening. But I would just like to see Rory and Zayn try to position themselves in the dominant position in the ring, along with these feints. Don't just try to land punches. Try to gain a superior position. If you don't want to get hit, you need to do what Rory done just here. Same thing as Floyd Mayweather. They don't punch in exchanges. It's better to just defend the punches and escape, or counter on the last or first punch. See, as Rory's just decided to be purely defensive, nothing is getting through. Zane's unable to find the gaps. It's better when you want to defend or if you're tired, just focus purely on your defense. There's good smothering here from Rory. A little bit of wrestling. But when you're smothering, you don't want to stay low, because when you stay low, your lungs are compressed. It's going to be harder for you to breathe. Whatever you're doing, you've got to be sure to commit to it. So when you're smothering and you're working your defense, you don't need to take a backward step like Rory just did, because then you've got to work and get yourself in. That was a good counter attempt there. See, I think both boxers seem to be quite a bit fatigued. But where Rory has been more flat-footed and is a stronger boxer, he needs to now use this moment of Zane being still to pressure him, find his counters. That's good footwork there. Just look for the gaps. It's good smothering, but you got to make the defense, make the smothering have an effect. You're smothering him, but then you need to counter. Look, Zane's picking up the pace again. So it's good here. Rory's just keeping slow, keeping things composed. Look at his gaps. Look at his gaps. You just stay composed, hands high, and look for the gaps. Now it looks like Rory's really fatigued. So the thing is, Rory sparred before this sparring began. So he's a bit fatigued. See what's happening there. See, just like this, you don't want to be bent over. When you're bent over, your lungs are compressed, and it's going to be even harder for you to breathe. Although you feel like you're resting, you're actually losing more energy. Round's done.